Well, hello, and welcome to the Holmes Cinema Clues, Masks, Mirrors, and Media, a show where film, television, and theater become a lens for understanding neurodiversity. Here, we go beyond the screen to explore the characters who mask, mirror, and struggle to belong, often hiding in plain sight. Join our hosts Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes as we invite you to step into the role of cinema detective to examine how autism, ADHD, and other neurodivergent experiences are portrayed in the media. This isn't therapy. It's not diagnosis. Rather, it's thoughtful conversation mixed with cultural analysis for a deeper look inside the stories that shape how we see ourselves as well as one another. So, settle in, sharpen your lens, and get ready to follow the clues with your hosts, Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes. Are you ready? Let's begin.
Every story has a subtext. Every character has a code. Where some see a script, we see a pattern. I'm cinema agent Stephanie, the autism researcher, autism specialist, and autism ally. Welcome back to Holmes Cinema Clues. Today, we're talking about, is this a character, a coded character? Some say so, some say hiding in plain sight. So I am welcoming to discuss this case, Special Agent Sydney Roberts, Holmes Roberts. Still not used to that, babe.
Hello, thank you for having me, and I am super excited to talk about today's character. This character is one of my favorites, and she's definitely been a comfort character for me throughout the years. So I am super excited to talk all things Dr. Temperance Brennan from the hit TV series Bones.
All right, I have my case notes from our research, of course. So Bones ran from 2005 to 2017. So when we talk about her character code, we are going to use the diagnostic manual that would have been present when this was running, which would have been the DSM-4 in 1994, which is the same manual that you received your identification on, because whenever we say the word Asperger's, it freaks people out. And we just want to be clinically accurate to what would be the diagnostic criteria that the person may or may not have fit. So what I did find in my research is while Bones was never explicitly stated to be autistic, the autism community did code her as autistic. So she's coded to the autism community, but hiding in plain sight. Creator Hart Hansen said that Brennan was based partly on a friend with Asperger syndrome, but the network reportedly did not want the character formally labeled on network television because they feared it would limit audience appeal. Also, there was some pushback because of her trauma growing up. Was it trauma? Was it neurodevelopmental? I would make the argument both, but I'm going to let you bring your case today on why you think Temperance Brennan is Asperger syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with Dr. Brennan, I saw a lot of myself in her as I was watching the show. Now some of it could, like, another pushback that you didn't mention was because she's super intelligent in the science field, that some of her qualities could be just attributed to her high intelligence as well. But she is a forensic anthropologist at the Jeffersonian in the TV show. She is wicked smart, and she knows her stuff. And so she knows what she wants. She knows that she's right, and because of that, she becomes also very direct, blunt. Doesn't really want to be bogged down with the details. And she has a good friend, but you can tell she doesn't have a lot of good friends. She has her one person who truly gets her, and then everyone else either just kind of respects her, admires her, or tolerates her. So just watching her dynamic in the show, in that pilot episode and in the earlier seasons, it's definitely a lot more stereotypical presentation of women on the spectrum. And then as we get into later seasons where she's actually had time to grow and develop these relationships, and there's understanding of who she is, what she's about, and characters grow together, I see the script being a little bit less hard-coded. She's definitely a little bit more soft. You can tell that her character has had tremendous growth in terms of reading people and trying to understand how to be more relationally mature. But she does still have her moments every once in a while, like not understanding a social cue, but she'll be a little bit softer with it, like, I don't understand, can you fill me in? Versus in the beginning episodes, it's just like, I don't understand social cues, and like dismiss it and wave it off as if it's not important. So that just again, I see a lot of myself in her. I think I could also argue that's my story. I was very blunt, very direct. You're either for me or against me, and you're gonna get on my train, or you're going to get out of my way, or you're going to get hit. And then just, where I am now in this current stage of my life, I do have a lot more meaningful relationships. I'm still blunt, but I'm softer in my bluntness, and I work on being more relational and in tune with the people around me. So I feel like our stories, it's very accurate to what I lived. And so that is why I believe the autism community has coded her, even though she is not coded in the show. It's because a lot of us understand um, what she went through and her relationships with others.
Well, so just like you said that as you've grown and you've worked on skills, you haven't become less autistic, you've become more relational. So I think the same thing can be said about Dr. Temperance Brennan. She did not become, quote, less autistic. She became more relational or began to kind of expand the scope. I think we could also say because of her trauma, which we won't really talk about that today because this isn't a show about trauma, but she does have significant childhood trauma and was in the foster care system. So she definitely would have some attachment issues and maybe didn't attach to people because the people she attached to, weren't part of her life, which also takes her into, what she does for a living, in this search, I guess, for her mom. But so I think we could say, yes, there was trauma. And yes, I think we're going to prove that she meets the criteria for Asperger syndrome. And what I have each agent do when they come on is they write case notes. So first of all, tell me about the case notes that you wrote on Substack. And then each agent also has to bring their own clips, and we'll talk through those clips as they're bringing forth their case. So you wrote it a little bit differently because your Substack actually started as a school assignment. So kind of talk about that. And if you want to read your Substack, go to Holmes Cinema Clues.
Yeah, like my mom mentioned, my first case notes was actually, it started with a school project. This semester, I completed an organizational theory and behavior class as part of my graduate studies. And one of the reflections that I had to write in my class was about leaders that I admired or like formed my early views of leadership um, growing up. So I mentioned my mom, but I also mentioned Dr. Temperance Brennan, which my professor thought was quite an interesting take because people don't typically reference fictional characters as inspiration or like their first forms of like leadership. And I'm like, well, that's proof I didn't use AI. I
was
wrote
going to say,
it.
no
Like,
plagiarism there. Original thoughts.
it's an original thought right there. But yeah, so like Dr. Brennan was one of the first TV characters on like a quote adult show that I was allowed to watch growing up. Before then it had been a bunch of like Disney Channel cartoons. But Bones was one of the first TV shows pre-teen-ish years that I was actually allowed to watch with my parents. And Dr.
Although a little
Brennan,
questionable because some of them are a little racy in the later seasons.
well, you banished me to the other room, so it was all good. You would
Because
just
it wasn't
be
the
like, nope,
science
leave.
stuff. It was the sex stuff I didn't really want you to see.
You banished me and then told me when it was time. You would give me a woody woot and tell me to come back. So it all worked out. But yeah, like Dr. Brennan was one of the first characters and people that I saw, and she was also like a leader of her institution. She wasn't like the big boss, right? Like she had like throughout the show, she had her first boss, and then Cam came, and like so she always had like a boss over her, but she was a natural leader. Like people, even her boss would turn to her for her expertise, for her leadership, her guidance. The people in the lab would also look to her to like make a call. So while she wasn't like the person quote unquote in charge, she was a leader in the Jeffersonian Institute. And also identifying with her, it also gave me hope like, hey, I can also be a leader. Like this, like, sure, my relationship skills suck right now, but you know what? If Dr. Brennan can do it, I can do it too. Uh, Now, flawed thinking of a preteen. I was just like, hey, I'm smart enough. I don't need friends. I have smarts. So, flawed,
I
flawed
think that
thinking
was
of an
Dr.
adolescent
I think that was
individual
Dr.
there.
Brennan's thought as well, right? She had her
Mhm.
work and she was smart and she didn't really need all this relational stuff.
Until she did. And so that actually leads into my first clip that I would like to present. In the pilot episode, how this all comes down is the FBI needs help with a case identifying some remains, and they call the top specialist, Bones, to come in and try to help get the case on the foot. And Dr. Brennan loves it so much. She wants to be more involved. Beyond just identifying the body, she wants to use her skills to help solve the case. And so the scene that we're about to show, it's an iconic scene in the pilot episode where she is practically like begging Booth to allow her to be on her team. So let's go ahead and watch it.
So what do you do first? Confront the senator?
Listen, Bones, I
Don't
know.
call me Bones.
I know we talked about you coming out in the field.
Oh, you rat
Case
bastard.
this big, the director's gonna create a special investigation unit, and if I line all my ducks up in a row, I can head it
I
up.
don't know what that means, but I think I could be a duck.
Not a duck, okay? On this one, we stick to the book. Cops in the street, squints in the lab.
Well, in that case, the Jeffersonian will be issuing a press release identifying the girl in the pond.
You do that, I'm a dead duck.
Okay, so what do you want to kind of point out about that? Because you chose 4 clips out of all the seasons. So what does that clip kind of show for you that feels autistically coded?
So the Booth is pretty much telling her all the reasons why he can't bring her on board the team. And Dr. Brennan is not taking no for an answer. Booth is like, I have people to answer to. It's not how this works. I got to get all my ducks in a row. And Dr. Brennan's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I know I can be a duck. So bring me along, sir. Like, I can get in line. But also, like, she's also recognizing it's not her call to make. Like, she can't just wave her little magic wand and get to be a part of this team. It's something outside her scope. So she's having to step back a little bit from a leadership role, and she has to get a duck and she has to be in line. If she doesn't play by the FBI's rules, she'll get yoinked from cases, and then she can't help out and do what she wants to do. Yes, I said yoinked.
Okay.
So
there was a few things in there then, right? She was not getting the soft hint of no, I don't want you on the team. And 2, he used like a phrase, I got to get all my ducks in a row. And she didn't really understand what ducks in a row meant. She just, whatever that meant, I'll be a duck if it means being on the team.
Mm-hmm. And I've definitely had moments like that where I have missed where people are politely telling me no or not yet, and they're giving me like excuses of why not, and I'm like, well, that's an easy problem that we can fix. Like, let's get going. Like, we got this. Pretty sure one happened at work more recently where I was told no, and I came up with a problem solution, and I presented it to my supervisor. And I said, "Here you go. I'm a duck," and kind of like worked my way into that room. So it still happens. I was a little bit more conscious of what I was doing. I don't think Dr. Brennan was fully recognizing what she was doing. She just knew that she had a goal, and that was to be in the room and to help the FBI. And so she was like, all right, well, this whole get on my train or get out of my way is not going to work. If I want to break into another institution, I am going to have to get on somebody else's train and play by their rules for a while, build up my credibility and everything in order to be able to be a part of this team. And we see her struggle with that a lot the first seasons because she's used to calling the shots on her team. I don't remember the name of her boss at the Jeffersonian. To me, he's not Cam, so I don't really care. I like Cam a lot more than I like him personally. but he pretty much lets her do whatever she wants. Like, he might be the boss in name, but he lets Dr. Brennan do whatever. So she's used to calling the shots. And so whenever she and Booth start working together, um, there's a lot of friction because she wants to do something and Booth wants to do another thing, and they don't cross. They're not even parallel. They're completely opposite things, but she has to defer to Booth because he's the one with the badge and the gun and the authority to say so. And so that causes a lot of fights in the first couple of seasons because they're still learning how to work together and what this dynamic looks like.
Because she struggles a lot with, because in many cases she is the smartest person in the room, and because she is the smartest person in the room, she thinks that that means she should, be in charge sometimes. So you bring this one up for season 1, episode 1, but another clip that you brought is season 8, episode 11, the archaeologist in the cocoon, where she does not get the assignment she wants. So still 7 seasons later, it's still a little bit of a struggle when her passionate interest comes to mind. So set up this clip of the archaeologist in the cocoon from season 8, episode 11.
So by this point, the character, her assistant, Dr. Zach Addy, is essentially off the show. His character, if you haven't seen Bones, I won't spoil it for you, although if you haven't seen it by now, how much of a spoiler is this really? Because it's been out for a while. But her intern, her assistant, is gone. And so the later seasons have a rotating cast of interns to try to hire his replacement. One of them is Dr. Edison Clark, and he's really, really good. The show alludes to he would have been hired in Zach's place. But I think there was maybe a studio decision that we all loved the rotating interns so much, they didn't want to get rid of them because us, the fans, would be very mad. So what they did is the Jeffersonian made a second forensic anthropology position to cover some of the duties and assignments that Dr. Brennan was neglecting because she was so focused on the forensic side with her partnership with Booth. And so one of these cases, they discover a bunch of bones that are not belonging to the victim. They appear to be ancient relics. And so they start to identify them. And Dr. Brennan is like, yes, I am so excited to get to work on these bones. This is my jam. I literally wrote papers about this. And then Cam, her boss, says, no, no, no. This is Dr. Edison. This is Dr. Clark's domain now. You're over here. I'm giving it to him. And as you will see how she reacts, that doesn't necessarily go over well. So let's go ahead and watch that, and then we can come back and talk.
Let's see if she grew yet.
This is an amazing find. According to the victim's notes, all the remains were found at the same dig site near Lake Kezanoy in Chechnya.
So Dr. Sutton might not have been such a hack after all.
Just because he had them doesn't mean he knew their importance.
All of his notes are well organized. I think he knew exactly how valuable they are.
Why are you even here, Dr. Edison?
He's the resident anthropologist in charge of ancient remains. I told him to take the remains back to his lab.
But this could be a very important find. And since I have written extensively on ancient remains and was recognized by the Cambridge Archaeological Society for my work on the Lagar Velu finds, I should be examining these.
But we have a murder to solve, Dr. Brennan.
Crime you, ancient history me. Remember?
Yes, but I would think you would want nothing more than my expertise.
And I'm well aware you would think that. But I don't want to take you away from your murder. Could you please pack these up and take these down to 407 in the anthropology suite, please?
No, I don't believe this. I taught you.
And I'm very grateful. I promise you'll be thanked when I publish.
The tests on the remaining tissue show no signs of contusions.
Excuse me?
Our murder victim from this millennium.
Fine, but I just hope that I'm available when Dr. Edison needs help.
Okay, so we do have some clips where she does have some emotional and relational growth, but this involves her. She has like 2 passionate interests, right? So the forensics, the bones, and the archaeology part, but then this forensic piece. So she's kind of stuck between 2 passions. What's that like to be stuck between 2 passions, Agent Sydney?
I mean, she has to make a choice. And in a way, she's already made it, and she is kind of struggling with the reality of what that choice is that she made. Because what she ultimately wants is she wants to be in control and she wants credit for this find. She's like the leading expert on it, and she wants to continue that in the world of anthropology. And while Dr. Clark is very intelligent and capable, and she does recognize that, but he's not her. And it's that mindset of, but I can do it better, and then not wanting to relinquish the control. Um, so that's what we see here in this clip is her brain is having a hard time separating that both can be true, that she is great and intelligent, and so is Dr. Clark, but she also made a choice and she has to step away and relinquish that control. And so that's what we see highlighted the most in that clip.
All right, so that was season 1 all the way to season 8. So we're going to back up to season 2 because she does start some of her growth arc in season 2. So another one you picked was season 2, 21, called Stargazer in a Puddle, where a friend is going through some grief. So set this one up for us.
Yes. So, I might have gotten my episodes mixed up, so apologies, Cinema Clues, if that is not the episode. I know it's in season 2. I just don't know if I got my episodes correct
Okay.
because all of my DVDs are currently being held captive by my husband, so I don't know where they are at this moment.
Okay, so we think it's
Um,
season 2. It might not be this. It might not be called the Stargazer in the Puddle. But so what happened with a friend?
So her friend Angela is a free spirit, as she self-describes. And Angela's pretty much her only like friend. Like the other people in the lab, like Hodgins and Zach, like they are close, but they're also colleagues. We see those relationships develop further on, but like from the pilot episode, it is coded that she and Angela are friends. Like Angela got her job at the Jeffersonian because Dr. Brennan recommended her. They are like they're friends. Like if Lorena is going to get emotionally close to someone, it is Angela. So Angela is off on vacation to see her boyfriend of the
Of the
it's like the
season.
month or something.
Yeah.
And she has like she has a situationship with this gentleman. Like she says that she gets to see him like once every couple of years because of his work in the desert. So they're together for like 3 weeks every couple of years, and then that's about it. So Angela goes out to see him, and she calls Brennan like, "Hey, he hasn't come back yet. I'm getting worried. Can you use your magical FBI strings to figure out where he is? Because it's not like him to go missing like this." And so Brennan and Booth fly out there to go find him, and they at the time of this clip, I believe he's just missing, not discovered to have been deceased yet. But Brennan is trying to offer some sort of understanding and comfort to Angela, and it's just she's getting some of it, but then she's missing a whole lot of it. So let's take a look.
Ready to go home?
Yeah.
You aren't coming back again, are you?
No. Never. He loved me.
For 3 weeks a year.
No. He loved me all the time. I was the one who could only manage 3 weeks a year. Oh, I'm afraid that I'm just afraid that I don't have a generous heart. I'm afraid that I won't have the chance that I had with Kirk ever again.
You will.
How can you be so sure?
Because nothing in this universe happens just once, Angela. Nothing. Infinity goes in both directions. There is no unique event, no singular moment.
I don't know what that means.
It means you will get another chance.
You promise? From your heart?
Better.
from my head. And yes, Ange, I promise, from my heart, you will get another chance.
Well, Dawes and his deputies, they caught the counterfeiters. Danny gave a statement saying that it was Kellogg pulled the trigger on Kirk. Danny knows that you saved her life. You pointed that helicopter in the right direction.
Obviously, you subconsciously sifted through the rational facts of the case and processed the most likely scenario. I'm sure that's it.
Yeah, what else could it be?
Well, it's the only rational explanation. Are you guys making fun of me?
All right, so this definitely breaks a stereotype that used to be believed that people on the spectrum did not have empathy. She obviously has empathy. She feels sad and she feels compassion towards Angela, but she just doesn't know really what to do. So we call that cognitive empathy and affective empathy. So cognitively, she does resonate. This is my friend. My friend is sad. I should do something, but she just doesn't know what to do or how really to make that connection, especially since Angela is such a free spirit and a highly connective, like highly empath kind of person. So it's interesting, their friendship anyway, because they're like yin and yang. Anyway. All right. So I want to take us into the next one because in season 10, there's a death. And so now we've gone from season 2, we're trying to offer grief to Angela, and now season 10, set up this clip.
Yes, sorry. One of the fur children has decided to try to eat the microphone, so let me just shoo her away real quick.
Which one?
Piper.
Piper. All right, you should get her a little hat, and then if she walks in front, then she could just be a little special agent cat.
Yes. So, like you said, she understands with Angela that my friend is sad. I need to do something. She tries to console her the best that she can at this time in her character arc and in her development. And then by the time we get toward the final season, and someone that we have all grown to love as well, and that the team especially loves in the show, when he dies, it hits the entire team really hard. And we can see the emotion on her face, and we can see the way she rallies around the team and she comforts the other team. But she does still have a little bit more of that, like that distance that that we typically tend to have. We see her get physically more emotional, like tears and sadness and everything. But we also still see that rational side of her, but she's better at connecting and empathizing with the people around her than she was with Angela. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Relax, you're gonna be okay.
Booth.
Yeah, I'm right here. Don't move. He's not shot. I thought you said there were gunshots.
That was me. I shot him.
Just hitting the nasation, the philtrum, and the sternum, Booth.
Looks like massive internal trauma. He's bleeding out, Booth.
Tell Daisy not to worry. She worries too much.
Of course. Don't talk now, sweets.
I fought back.
Daisy, I don't think you should be here right now.
I can help. I have to help.
Of course.
You have to start with these remains.
Lance. Oh my God.
I don't know if I can do this to him.
You can. This is not sweets. This is a set of remains that will give us the man who killed Sweets.
All right. So still, here is a strength that she's able to compartmentalize. It doesn't mean she has any less feelings for the death of this person, but here is a strength of that black and white thinking, and the way she's going to help and serve is to help solve the mystery. There's the job to do, but that doesn't mean she doesn't care for this person. I mean, that's my take on it, is that.
I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty relevant. And then, again, looking at my life, I feel like that's something that I can relate to as well. Early middle school, when I first started having friends, a bunch of my friends like had their grandparents pass away, and I very much was in that my friend is sad, but I don't know how to make it better, because it's something that I didn't go through. It's something that I didn't know how to connect and experience that. And I think that's what we see in that first clip with Angela is Brennan doesn't know how to relate because it's not something she experienced. It's not like anything that she can recall in her brain. Versus with Sweet, so much other stuff has passed and there's like an actual relationship there to him. She's able to make those connections and relate on a deeper level than she was before. Similar for me growing up, I have a bunch of friends going through some hard things, and I'm able to be a little bit more relational with them now than I maybe would have like 4 or 5 years ago. Just because I now have those connections that I can recall, and also just better, stronger relationship with people. And so I think that's something that Dr. Brennan does really well in showcasing is the emotional connection that has to be there in order to give it back. Like if you are distanced from it, that's kind of the reaction you're going to get, versus if you're a little bit closer to it, that's the reaction that you will get. So it's definitely a what is invested is what you will receive kind of thing. And I feel like that might be a lot of people on the spectrum. It's certainly true for myself. I have an easier time connecting with things that I am personally invested in versus things that I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't really affect me. That's sad, but life moves on. Let's go on to the next thing. I think that's something that this character does really, really well, showcasing throughout the entire run of the show is the connection between what's happening around her, but also what's her stake in it, what's her relationship to it, and how is she able to process that in terms of what's happening around her.
All right, I'm going to go through the criteria here in a moment. So what I've heard you say is, so while she did experience some loss with her parents, that wasn't a loss of a significant other, like a partner, spouse, boyfriend. So that was part of the struggle with Angela, because she didn't have like that kind of relationship yet. As she's grown into this, like from this professionalism, and I'm kind of smarter than you in season 1, to we're a team, kind of a family, a little, they put the fun and dysfunctional family. Now Sweets, there's a different feeling there because she is more connected to him. But again, I think it was a strength, her scientist part, to come out to try to help solve the case, because that's how she felt she could best serve her friend and friends. So let's see, bring out the good old DSM-4. So in criteria A of 299.80, Asperger's, qualitative impairment in social interaction must be manifested by at least 2. Marked impairment in the use of multiple nonverbal behaviors, being able to do eye gaze, facial expression, understanding body postures, gestures, and regulating social interactions. What do you think?
That we can't say for sure, because we will get the earliest of her life as a teenager, when her parents abandoned her and her brother had to put her in the foster care system. Her brother Russ does allude to things like, oh, Tempe's always been like this, or that's just Tempe, alluding to that some of these behaviors were present in her childhood before all of this trauma and everything took place. So I'm going to give it a soft yes, but also with the understanding that we can't know for sure on this one.
All right, difficulty developing peer relationships. All right, so we have a check
Yes.
on that one. A lack of spontaneous seeking to share enjoyment, interests, and achievements with other people. For example, a lack of showing, bringing, or pointing out objects of interest of others to other people. So, yeah, she shows her own interest, but being interested in things others are interested in, she struggled with that.
I'm gonna say yes, because she could not care any less about Dr. Hodges' bugs and slime. She just wants to know if it was there and if it makes her case stronger. She could care less about the bugs and slime, even though he's super excited about it.
Then lack of social and emotional reciprocity.
In earlier seasons, yes. I think that's what we were talking about with her being a little bit more stereotypical. And then as those relationships get built in the later seasons, we don't see it as much, but it's still there. So I'm going to say yes.
All right, so that's 3 out of 4 for criteria A. Criteria B, encompassing preoccupation with one or more restricted patterns of interest that is abnormal in intensity or focus.
Yes.
Of course, forensic psychology and anthropology. Inflexible adherence to specific non-functional routines, rules, or rituals.
She does like her routines. You see that in the show more of like the way the lab is run and the way that the lab like environment is. Not so much that she clocks in at this time and leaves by this time, but more of, this is how the organization as a whole functions and I'm used to it. And then when Cam takes over and kind of changes things up, we see a bunch of friction between her and Cam. So I'm going to say yes.
Stereotyped or repetitive motor mannerisms. I don't know that I ever saw that. Either pacing or whole body movements. Any stimming? Did you note any stimming?
I wouldn't say stimming, but she does get hyper focused. Like when a case stresses her out, she does tend to just zone into it. So I mean, it's not pacing or anything like that, but there is a clear disturbance in her world.
So since this is clinical and you're not a clinician, I'm gonna say yes for the fourth one with persistent preoccupation with parts of objects. I think bones and putting the bones together like a puzzle, that's kind of part of the preoccupation. So for criteria B, special interest, said routines, not on number 3, number 4, persistent preoccupation with parts of, so you have to have at least one of the following. She had 3. So she's an overachiever so far in criteria A and B. And then the disturbance caused clinical significant impairment in social and occupational areas of functioning. So as you said, there was some impairment there in her relationships because it was like her lab and you're allowed to be in it. And as she grows, it's like our lab. Still, I have some particular things, but they've learned to kind of grow into each other in that. She did not have general language delay, more than likely. Her family seems to say when you meet family that she was bright, from the beginning. And we don't know too much about what her childhood, except for that it was traumatic. So I think in the case of Dr. Temperance Brennan, I think she would meet the criteria for Asperger syndrome based on the time that it was. You received your, it's interesting. So the show ran 2005 to 2017, and you received your Asperger diagnosis in 2005. You're the beginning of your process. So interesting how that turned out. Well, we solved a case. We'll wrap this one up and say case closed. We'll be having you back to do scripting, talking about autism and scripting with your dad. Oh, there's another special cat agent. That's Peanut, or as I call her, Nut Job. So Nut Job has joined us. So as we wrap up today's Home Cinema Clues, we remind you that there's no crime in being different. Just embrace uniquely you.